What's up, full-time RVers? Back again. What is it? Day 7? Day 8. Day 7 or day 8, I can't remember which now. But it's exactly 1 week to the day that I had to begin my exodus. So today has been an interesting day. I did photography channel work this morning, and I've also been trying to figure out exactly what I'm going to do as far as video editing, because while I can edit quite a bit of video on my iPad Pro, it's not ideal for my photography channel, because I have probably thousands of dollars invested in plugins and such that I use in Final Cut Pro 10. So Final Cut Pro 10, if you're not familiar, is a video editing program. It's been around for a very, very long time. I started using Final Cut Pro way back when, before they ever did a redesign back in 2011. But because I do plan on doing quite a bit of video, and I do plan to do vlogging and such, vlogging is easy. It's not that hard. It's literally just this: holding a camera, talking to a camera. And then, people will take the clips, chop them up, and mush them all together. Some people are not very good with production quality. They're not very good with production value. They're never very good with transitions or titling. They're not very classy. They're none of those things. And while there is a certain feeling of being authentic when you edit that way, when you're a creative person like myself, you want to put a little bit more effort into your craft. So, me being a photographer and a video editor, I have been trying to figure out what I want to do as far as better video editing, essentially in my new house. And I'm going to give you a quick look at what I edit on right now. And this is in the house. Well, it's not in the house now, but this is what I edit when I work indoors. That, my friends, is a 27-inch iMac, okay? And that is the spec'd out model. That is the fastest, beefiest iMac I could buy 3 years ago. Now, obviously, while the massive amount of screen real estate is fantastic, especially when you're editing video, being able to have all that extra space and all that extra room, it definitely helps out, but it's the size, weight, and the delicateness, is that even a word, of the internal components during transit that have me worried. I'm debating on how to address that issue. So I have ripped out quite a bit of stuff, heavy stuff, out of this camper. I ripped out the furnace, so that was about 50 pounds, maybe a bit more. I didn't weigh it, so I'm not 100% for sure, but all I know is that thing was a monster. And I plan to go with either a Mr. Buddy, just because it's super convenient and everyone seems to really love it, or I'm thinking about getting like one of those Camco Wave 6s or something, because they don't require any electricity in order to start, and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, I'm getting off track. So I ripped out that, and I've taken off a bunch of other stuff, so heavy stuff. Heavy wooden door for the bathroom. I got rid of a lot of weight. So I'm trying to decide, now that I've gotten rid of that weight, do I really want to add, roughly a 30-pound computer into this setup? So while 30 pounds isn't much, when you start going, here's a couple of items, there's a couple of items, here's a few more items, everything begins to add up, and then your rig continuously gets heavier and heavier and heavier. Thus, it's going to cost me more and more in gas. So, I don't know. I really do like having all of that space up there. All that screen real estate. It is really, really nice to have all that. But it's pretty heavy. So what I did is I'm just kind of using the table as the desktop, which, it actually works out really well, because this little shelf up here doesn't move. And then when I'm done with the keyboard, if you all are familiar with Mac products, they're always quite simple and elegant. I just put that up there when I need to actually, use the table. and then my whole table is cleared off. And I've been kind of testing out. So I had this little secretary's chair, or I don't know, office chair. I mean, I've got a much bigger, nicer leather high back chair, but I mean, that just seems very impractical in this space. But something like this can actually, you know, be rotated, and then the spin goes around that leg, and then I can just push it right off to the side, and then I've got all my floor space back. And so, because I'm using a desktop computer at this table, then that means I have to use a desktop chair. So if I had a laptop, I could just sit over here and just edit it on my desktop. But I mean, I don't know. I keep going back and forth. Not to mention, if I sell this, I mean, I could probably still get, in its current configuration, I could probably still get about $1,600 or so for this computer. And then I could turn around and try and buy a laptop, but obviously I would have to get a Mac because I edit Final Cut Pro 10, and that being the case, there's a really good chance that I would end up having to spend an extra $1,000 to get the laptop. So I would lose a lot of screen real estate, and I would basically have to kick in money in order to do it. So it's like, do I spend $1,000? Is the weight of this and the hassle of having to put it away somewhere nice and safe, is that hassle worth the extra $1,000? And that's my conundrum. I'm just not really for sure. But when you're in, you know, a nice wide open space like this, I mean, it kind of acts as your TV too. I mean, because you can throw movies on up there, whatever. You watch your YouTube. You can literally do everything because you've got so much screen real estate. So, I don't know. That's my conundrum. Maybe some of you all have some insight. Maybe you all have actually done this. Maybe you all have actually tried transporting something this large in your camper. I would like to know if you have and how that actually went. So, with all that being said, I'm probably not going to do much vlogging for the rest of the evening. Mainly because I have a ton of stuff on this particular computer that I am going to try my best to either get off of the internal hard drive, get it onto external hard drives, so that even if I decide to keep this particular setup in here and actually travel with this big beast, that whatever I have, as far as data is concerned, is on a much smaller drive, like this. This is a 500 gigabyte Samsung solid state drive, and I can easily put it in any of my padded bags, and they'll transport just fine. You know, the data will be perfect on here. But if this thing is rattling or rolling somewhere, whether I lay it down face flat on a bench or on a bed, or, you know, even in the truck, you know, there's a chance. I mean, some stuff could shake loose, and then, you know, something could go wrong, and I'm just not cool with that. I'm really not. So I'm going to try and get as much of my important data off there and get them onto these type drives. Everything else I'm going to try to get up into the cloud so that I don't even have to worry about it anymore. So it's just a lot of stuff that I've got to do today. But other than that, like I said, if any of you all have ever tried transporting a big beast like this and you've actually been successful at it, please let me know. I would love to see / hear what you all have managed to come up with as far as that's concerned. So, at any rate, guys, thanks so much for watching yet another episode of Avion Awesome, and I will see you guys again on the next one. Peace.